Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
Most of us lower our standards. Why? Because who you spend time with, my friends, is who you become. Quality of your life is the quality of where you live emotionally. Like, we all have a home. Angry people find a way to get angry, even if their life doesn't have to be angry about. We can always find it. Sad people find a way to be sad. Caring people find a way to care for other people. So one thing you got to identify is, where are you living? What's your home? What's your habit? And then the way to change it is that when I was homeless, literally on my own, just getting started, I didn't have the internet, but I decided I had to go to a library and I had to feed my mind. And I always tell people the first stage is, weeds grow automatically. One of my teachers taught me, he said, every day stand guard at the door of your mind and feed it something good. Because if your worst enemy puts sugar in your coffee here, you're fine. If your best friend by accident trying to help you puts some strychnine, you're dead. So if you feed your mind every day, 30 minutes a day of reading something, hearing something. Second, you got to strengthen your body. And the reason, Pierce, is fear is physical, right? So is stagnation, so is numbness, so is sadness, so is rage. And when you go in and change your body by an intense workout or a run or even an intense walk and the blood's flowing through you, science has shown it instantly changes your biochemistry. And now your mind and body are working together. Third thing, all these people did in common, if you watch, they found a mission bigger than themselves. Yeah. Something that they want to aspire to that was worth more than their pain. And then the fourth thing is, you got to find a role model. You heard it with Nick. Almost everybody finds a role model that makes it real. Yeah. When you get a role model, it becomes real to you if you get a plan, you get a goal plan, and you take massive action. And the last step, number 5, there's always somebody worse off than you are. I don't care what you've done. So if you can go help somebody worse off, it puts your life in perspective. And it also reminds you, life's not about me, it's about we. I always tell people, the secret to a great life, the secret to living, is giving. And when you realize there's something in you still to give, even if you lost your legs, even if you've been through a horrific financial situation, your life can improve. But more importantly, you'll have a meaningful life because your life will contribute to other people.
Decide to develop the habit right now, the habit of focusing on what's right in your world instead of what's wrong. The habit of focusing on what you do have instead of what you don't have in a situation. And as basic as that is, and as well as you know it, you've got to make it a habit. Because those habits form the chain of your ultimate character, of who you become and how you end up living your life. We've got to condition ourselves, because if we don't, we'll go back to the automatic state that most people live in today's society. The way to develop the habit is to go on a mental diet. It's that you immediately do not allow yourself to hold a negative feeling, a negative thought for 7 straight days, day and night, even when it gets tough, even when somebody disappoints you, even when you get frustrated, even when you give your all and it still turns up lousy. Listen, if all I did was rant and rave on this tape and you didn't listen to anything else I said, but you took on this 7-day challenge, you can't believe what it'll do to your life.
If you get yourself in a state of certainty that this is going to work, I'm going to find the way, and if this doesn't work, I will make the way, then you tap a lot more potential. And when you're certain in your potential, you take massive action. When you take massive action, you really believe in something, you get great results. When you get great results, your brain goes, see, I told you I was a stud. People tell me all the time, oh, I'm skeptical or I'm pessimistic. I said, no, you're gutless. It takes no guts, it takes no courage to be a pessimist, to say it's not going to work, to try to find out what's wrong. What's wrong is always available. It's also what's right. So I'm not into positive thinking, but I am into intelligence. And intelligence says, see it as it is, don't make it worse than it is. The only way it gets better is if you can see it as it is. Don't make it worse than it is. Don't try to make it so it's impossible to change. That's not true. It's not true at all. The second mandate, I think, to changing anything in your life, to leading your life, is once you see it as it is, not worse than it is, then you got to see it better than it is. Because that's the thing that's missing from most relationships. There's no vision. I mean, without a vision, people what? Perish. And when a relationship has no vision for greater than where they are, that relationship is going downhill, if not destroyed. I believe that every relationship, every part of life, every part of a human being needs a compelling future. If the future's not more compelling than today could be tough, but if the future's compelling, we can get there. So just to remind you, first thing you got to do is feed and strengthen that mind. Read, listen, feed the mind, take control of that focus, stand guard at what other people are saying, focus on what it is you're here to give, what you can control, what you can make happen. Number 2, feed and strengthen that body. Remember, fear, uncertainty, they're physical experiences. So the best way to deal with something physical is to get physical. Change that body. Go lift some weights. Go for that run. Do something that's going to get you in that state. But get that hour of power going, that 15 minutes to thrive, if you're familiar with that, to train your body and mind to be strong again. Number 3, make sure you put yourself in that position where you find a role model that's going to inspire you and show you that way. Maybe it's a contrasting role model. You think your life's so tough? Find somebody with tougher who's really turned it around. Or maybe it's just somebody who's really succeeded. That you can now see there is a way. There's a way through. There's a way to make this happen, even in the toughest times. There's always a way. 4, make sure you get yourself into action. Get a plan, take massive action. And then number 5, most importantly of all of them, feed your spirit. Feed and strengthen your spirit. And there's only one way to do that. It's to find what you're grateful for and to take time, whether it be prayer for you or just taking a moment to think about what it is that's so lucky in your life. There's a rejuvenation in our spirit when we stop taking things for granted. And when most importantly, what feeds your spirit is to give, to find a way to do something for someone else who's worse off than you are. Because what is this all about? It's about strength, and it's about perspective, it's about action, it's about emotion, and it's about heart. And so many people, miss the opportunity to feel like their life makes a difference. I'm a big believer that motive does matter. That why you do something, people can feel. That people may be skeptical, they may have their judgments or their fears because they've been through so much, but in my experience, ultimately, why you're doing something, people feel. And if you're doing this because some part of you knows that you're here in life not just to get, but to give, then there's a spark that happens in other people because they feel the genuineness of that, and there's a spark that happens in you because it reminds you what you're made for.
You know why kids love athletes? Kids love athletes because they follow their dreams. How much did they first pay you to give up on your dreams? And when were you going to stop and come back and do what makes you happy? I see guys who work at the same company for their entire lives. They clock in, they clock out, and they never have a moment of happiness. You have an opportunity. This is a rebirth. I'm a wake-up call.
Maybe you here because you need to hear this here. Maybe you here because you need to dust off your dreams. Maybe you need to explore your imagination. Maybe you just need to identify your gift so you can quit tripping in your own life, trying to figure out what you can do when God already planted inside you a long time ago.
Remember your dream. All of us have things that we're believing for, something that we want to accomplish. Deep down, we know it's a part of our destiny. We can feel it so strongly. But then we hit some setbacks. We didn't get the promotion. The medical report wasn't good. Or a relationship didn't work out. Life has a way of pushing our dreams down. They can become buried under discouragement, buried under past mistakes. There are dreams buried under divorce, buried under low self-esteem. It's easy to settle for mediocrity even though we have all this potential buried on the inside. Your dream may be buried. The good news is it's still alive. It's not too late to see it come to pass. We've all been through disappointments and setbacks. Life happens. But instead of remembering the hurt, the pain, what didn't work out, the key to reaching your destiny is you have to remember your dream.
Imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghosts of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the gifts given to you by life, but you, for whatever reason, you never pursued those dreams. You never used those gifts. You never used those talents and those abilities. You never wrote that book. We never heard from your leadership. And there they are standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, "We came to you. And only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever." And the question becomes, if you died today, what dreams, what ideas, what abilities, what gifts, what talents would die with you? Maybe that's why one woman said, "Oh, God, to reach the point of death," only to realize that you've never lived. Maybe that's why Henry David Thoreau said, "Oh, God, to reach the point of death, to realize that you've never used all your potential, all of the things that had been instilled in you.
Look, man, identify that God-given gift and get to pursue it. I had a partner. When we was growing up, all he did was cut grass. I'm talking about he cut grass every day. $2 for the front, $2 in the back. But boy, this boy was talented. He had one of them push lawnmowers with the single blade on it. He was so good, he could take the blade, lower it, and raise it. He could cut patterns in your yard with a push lawnmower. He could put your initials in your grass. You know how big that was in the hood? You get a W in your damn yard. This boy was $2 for the front, $2 for the back. He didn't go play with us nowhere. We going to the swimming pool. Now, man, I got to cut Miss Jackson grass. Hey, man, we going to go to the little school dance. Now, I got to get up in the Maryland. I got to cut Miss Stanley yard. We used to laugh at it. A grass cutter, grass cutter. This boy today in Cleveland, Ohio, he got a landscaping company. You know how much this dude grosses every year? $4 million. $4 million. You know what he do? He cut grass. He got 38 trucks on the road. He got every contract in the city, every office building, every mall. He cut grass. He cut the grass so good when it snowed in Cleveland, he put plows on the front of all 38 of them trucks. He got all the snow removal contract. This boy make $4 million. You know what he do? He cut grass. He cut grass.
You may not understand why a business didn't make it, why a person walked away, why you came down with an illness. You were doing the right thing, but the wrong thing happened. It's all a part of the process. What did you used to be excited about? Now you think it's been too long, it's too big, it's not possible. You don't think you could write the book, finish school, see a marriage restored, start the business, get your passion back. You have not missed your opportunity. You have not had too many bad breaks. You're not lacking. You didn't get shortchanged. People can't stop you. Bad breaks, disappointments, loss. There are seeds of greatness in you right now. Dreams so big that you can't accomplish them on your own.
As you think about your goals and dreams, not only is it possible, not only must you decide that it's necessary, that it's a non-negotiable, you have the ability to do more than you could ever begin to imagine. But when we live in a world where we're told more about our limitations rather than our potential, when we look at our environment and the people and the conversations that we're exposed to early on, we begin to form a limited vision of what's possible for us. And so as you think about your goals and dreams, here's what I can share with you because of what I've gone through, and you know this to be true. Changing your life is hard.
Why pay the price? Why work this hard? Why go this far? Why try to learn this much? Why try to do it all? Why try to see it all? Why try to have it all? Why do it? Why learn it? Why study? Why put yourself out? Why try to take on this much responsibility? Why develop yourself to the full? Why try to become all that you can possibly become? Why try to earn as much as you can earn, share as much as you can share, develop every skill you possibly can, see every human you possibly can, go to every class you possibly can, touch everybody you possibly can? Why do that much? Why go that far? Why share that much? Why give that much away? Why try to see everything? Why try to do everything? Why try to become everything? That's a good question, why? And you're the only one personally that can answer that question for yourself. You've got to have your own list of whys. Here's what I want you to do when you go home after you've left this extravaganza. Work on your list of whys. One of the big thrusts for success is to come up with a strong enough why. In leadership training, here's what we learn. If the why is powerful, the how is easy. But if the why isn't strong, if your goals aren't powerful, if the vision isn't clear, the old prophet said, without a vision we die, without a vision we perish, without a dream we're nothing. From the movie The Professionals, I listened to Bill Heron give his testimony yesterday. From the movie The Professionals, it said, we joined because we believed. We stayed because we were committed. We left because we were disillusioned. But we came back because we were lost. Without a dream, we are nothing.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
What happened when you were that little boy or that little girl, at some point you felt those feelings. Prove them right, because there's an end to your life and it's coming sooner than you think. It goes by like this. Just yesterday, Max was 6 years old in the car wash. He's going off to college next year. Just yesterday, she was 8 months old. Now she's got a boyfriend. Just yesterday, I was a young, cool guy. Just yesterday, me and my girlfriend were walking on the beach. Someday I'm going to do that. It goes by in a flicker, just like that, in a blink. I don't care how young you are, in a blink. And at some point, it's going to be over. And I have this obsession as a Christian. When I die, I hope the Lord says, well done, good and faithful servant. But I got this hallucination. And even if you're not religious, I guarantee you this happened. I think when I die, I'm going to run into Papa. I'm going to get to see him again. And you're going to run into that person. You're going to get to see him again. Him and the Lord are going to be sitting there and they're going to say, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody. This was the woman you were born to be. This was the man you were born to be. Your twin's going to be there. This is who you were born to be. These are the people you could have helped, the memories you could have had, the things you could have accomplished, how you could have felt about yourself, the things you'd have seen, done, and become. Papa's going to show, this is who you could have been. This is who I saw you to be. I couldn't say it. I didn't understand it, but I felt it. I knew you were going to be this person. Meet him. To me, heaven when we die is we meet that person we were capable of being, destined to be, and we're identical twins. Hell is you meet them and you're total stranger. You meet them and they look at you. You don't even know each other. You didn't go the places I went. You didn't help the things. You didn't feel the way about yourself. Total stranger. My obsession in my life, the reason I'm here to swear to my obsession in my life when I be, he's going to meet me and go, hey man, proud of you. Been watching you this whole time. Man, you did it. You got off track there for a while. It took you a little while. You're a late starter. But man, you did it. You accomplished it all. You did it all. You became the man you were born to be. I'm proud of you. And I'm going to say, brother, I've been chasing you all these years. I'm running down that guy. I'm running him down. Every decision I make when I'm down and lazy and depressed and bummed out like I've been this week, and I'm not feeling good, I don't do things based on how I feel. I do things based on who I am. And who I am is that guy.
I know most people don't make definite plans, but don't let that be you. The guy says, well, you work where I work, but the time you get home, it's late. You've got to have a bite to eat, watch a little TV, and get to bed. You can't sit up half of the night and plan. And this is the guy who's behind on his car note. He's a good worker, hard worker, sincere. But I've discovered that you can be sincere and work hard all your life and wind up broke and embarrassed. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good planner, a good goal setter. You've heard the old saying, the people who fail to plan are planning to fail. It's true, so work on your plans. Put yourself in the top few percent who put this power to work for themselves. Writing your goals down also shows you are serious. And to do better, you must get serious. You don't have to be grim, but you do have to be serious. Hey, everybody hopes things will get better, but remember, the future does not get better by hope. It gets better by plan. And hope unaided by clear plans can finally become an illness. There's a Bible phrase that says, hope long delayed makes the heart sick. It's a sickness. I used to have the illness known as passive hope. It's bad. And there's one that is even worse, and that is called happy hope. That is really bad. The man is 50, and he's broke, and he's still smiling.
Physically engage your body. If you ask you a question, yell back the answer. Or in a few minutes, I'm going to ask you to actively engage in a different level. Engage with each other. Do some crazy things you wouldn't normally do. What that does, it brings up engagement, 80-90% retention, because now it's not just a thought or a right, it's a feeling in your body as well. And if you do that, you're going to retain it. Who's up for doing more and holding on to more? Say, I. Then to do that, I'm going to ask a couple things. One is, if I ask you a question, please yell out the answer. You're already doing that. You're being very kind, but don't be kind anymore. Do it with more passion and intensity. Because I'm not going to ask you questions you don't know the answer to, because I want you to feel good about you. But if you yell out the answer, you'll activate your body's nervous system. Make sense? And the more you activate, the more energy you'll have. We live in a passive society, and if we're going to engage, by the way, the companies that engage, the companies that have records of 24 at the top 25% in the country, highest levels of engagement of employees, companies like Google, companies like Salesforce, companies like Apple, companies like Facebook. And by the way, guess what all the research shows? 22% more profitability, almost 1 for 1. For every percentage of increased engagement, you almost get an increase in profitability. But I would argue you get that in your personal life as well. The more engaged you are, the more the other person will become engaged. You want to get somebody engaged? You get engaged. Think about it. Every one of us is a leader. What's our job to do as a leader? Our job is maximize resources, right? How do we take whatever resource and get more out of it? Ourselves, other people, our economics, our business, our technology. That's the job of a leader. But you can't maximize resources if you don't have full engagement. So I'd like to see if we could increase that. And so one simple way of doing that, increasing that engagement, is to start with us. Because by the way, are you going to engage other people if you're not engaged? Yes or no? Yes or no? Are you going to be able to touch other people if you're not touched? Are you going to move other people if you're not moved? And so, by the way, here's the problem. How many of you wake up on? You have certain days you wake up and you think to yourself, today, I don't want to talk to any people.
Touch somebody and say, I got a flow in my ministry. I got a flow in my ministry. It's not about the money. It's about the ministry. It's about the purpose. I got to find my place. I've got to go. Can you imagine what it was like for Elijah to go in the house and tell his mom and dad somebody else is going to have to take over the family business? I will not be around next harvest season. I got to go. I know you're getting old, Dad, and I know you can't run this plow anymore, but you're going to have to get somebody. And you had all these plans of what I would be, but I'm called to a different direction. It's hard to tell your parents you're called to do something different other than what they had envisioned for you to do. That's why Jesus said, if you follow me, you got to hate your mother and father. He said, you got to love me more than you love anybody, because sometimes I'm going to send a sword of division between you and what you were connected to, because I have called you to serve on another level and in another capacity. Am I talking to anybody? And he boils his ox, and he burns his plow, and he kisses his mother and father goodbye. And the Bible says something that is amazing. And I just read it to you. It says that Elijah, after he kissed his mother and father goodbye, he ran after Elijah that he might minister unto him. Wow. And I preached it for years and never noticed that Elijah was called to minister to the minister, to feed the feeder, to help the helper. He was called to work in the kitchen. There was an anointing on him to bring his organizational administrative skills to the kingdom. And he had to get untangled from all the distractions that were stopping him from full commitment to what he was called to. And if you're in a support ministry, you can't serve two masters. You can't just do this on the side when you finish, when you get ready. You have to come to a point in your life that you can focus on the thing you've been called to do and really commit your efforts, because people get dumb when they come to church. They park their mind in the parking lot right beside the car. They do. People who are real smart and helpful in corporate America come in church and get spiritual and stupid. They don't bring their technology, their skills, their talent into the kingdom. They melt into a melting pot and they're afraid to be bright. You need to bring your brightness with you. Come here armed with all the stuff that you've been trained to do and lay it down at the altar and say, all that I have, oh God, I lay it before you. Elijah starts following. He starts following him because as he begins to minister to the minister, he finds three things. He finds him in this order. The first thing he finds is his purpose. I was born to do this. Mom, don't cry. Daddy, you look so disappointed. I'm leaving a managerial position in a secular environment to become a servant servant in a church. You're going to do what? Yeah, I'm going to follow this man of God around and pour water on his hand. Are you out of your mind? Do you know how much this business is worth? Yes, but do you know how much it's worth to find my purpose? And so sometimes you have to be willing to be a fool for Christ and do something foolish to do something right. He found his purpose, pouring water on the prophet's hand. He did not know that him ministering to the minister was killing the depression that had put the minister in the cave. And without Elisha, Elijah's ministry would have died in the cave. Like Aaron and Hur lifting up the hands of Moses, there are people who are called to help you look good at what you do. And so even though they're not the ones on the stage, they create the stage that the one stands on. That's the support ministry. Oh, they don't shake your hand at the back door and say, oh, that message changed my life. But if you don't provide the stage, I will fall from the platform, because you are the stage on which you stand.
one day after school, I walked by a store in Graz. So I went inside and I looked around, and then I saw a magazine. I saw a bodybuilding magazine that had Reg Park on the cover. Reg Park was then a 3-time Mr. Universe. And I saw him on the big screen as Hercules. I read that and I said to myself, wow, this is the blueprint for my life. This is exactly what I want to do. I want to become a bodybuilding champion just like Reg Park. I want to get into movies just like Reg Park. And I want to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous just like Reg Park. Do you know how great it felt that I knew where I was going? Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion just like him. So it was just a question of how do you do it? I was so relieved because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. So people always ask me, when they saw me in the gym in the pumping iron days, they say, why is it that you're working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and you have always a smile on your face. And I told people all the time, I said, because to me, I'm shooting for a goal. In front of me is the Mr. Universe title. So every rep that I do gets me closer to accomplishing that goal, to make this goal, this vision turn into reality. Every single set that I do, every repetition, every weight that I lift will get me a step closer to turn this goal into reality. So I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. I couldn't wait to do another 500-pound bench press. I couldn't wait to do another 2,000 reps of sit-ups. I couldn't wait for the next exercise. At the age of 20, I went to London and I won the Mr. Universe contest as the youngest Mr. Universe ever. And it was because I had a goal.
Your probability of finding a successful mate decreases. So we've evolved to have this very, very visually evident eye. And so when we're looking at each other, we're always looking at our eyes, because then we can tell where someone is pointed, and then we can tell what they're up to. And so we're hunting creatures, like we're aiming at a moving target and trying to track it all the time. And so you have to specify your aim, and the Future Authoring Program helps people specify their aim. And it's more than one aim. It's like you have a highest aim, which you might say is to be a good person. And then I would say, well, there's a more elaborated aim than that. It's like you want to be able to constrain malevolence and work to decrease suffering. It's something like that. That's the highest aim. And then you have to decompose that into the things you do each day so that there's a definite connection between all the micro actions and the macro aim, and then that gives dignity to what you do. I've told people to learn to use a schedule, and people often hate schedules because they act as their own tyrants, right? They say, well, you have to do this unpleasant thing, and then here's another unpleasant thing you have to do, and then you have to do this unpleasant thing, and you do that for about 3 days, and you think, to hell with this, I'm not doing that, and you fall off the wagon. That isn't what you're supposed to do with a schedule. You're supposed to use it to design the days that you would like to have if you were taking care of yourself. And so some of that is, you wake up in the morning and you think, here's 5 things I have to do that if I don't do, my life will be worse. It's like paying bills, for example, or taking out the garbage. It's like you have to do those because otherwise things degenerate. So you got to put some of those in the schedule because otherwise tomorrow is worse than today, and that's a bad trajectory. But you also want to build in things, you've got to act in some sense like you're dealing with a relatively recalcitrant 9-year-old. It's like, well, here's some things you have to do, but here's some things that if you do, you could reward yourself with. And if you get the balance there between obligation and reward right, then you'll find that you're motivated to do the things. And that's what you want to do. You want to do that so it's sustainable across days and weeks and months. And so you got to treat yourself like a good boss would treat a valued employee, and not like a tyrant would treat a slave, because the slave will rebel. And people say, well, I don't follow through on my plans. It's like, well, A, they're probably not very well formulated, and maybe you're doing them because of an external moral obligation or something. They're not really your plans, right? And B, you're acting like a tyrant and a slave, and that's a bad relationship to have with yourself. So you want to treat yourself with the same way. That's the golden rule, right? Treat yourself as you would treat other people as you would have them, treat other people as you would like to be treated. It works both ways. You also treat yourself like you treat other people properly. So that's a necessary thing, and often people don't do that. So I teach students usually, for this class, it was 3rd and 4th year students, and so this is at the University of Toronto. They're pretty smart kids. It's a hard university to get into, and they're pretty disciplined, and they're actually quite conservative, all things considered.
You know, it's impossible to think of the impossible. It's not possible. So if you think it, it's possible. And if you live your life in possibilities instead of probabilities, you have a greater chance of finding happiness. Seriously, never live your life in probability. Probability is the probability of something happening. There's a statistic attached to a probability. 1 in every 3,000 people do this. 1 in every, that's a probability. A possibility has no stats attached to it. Live your life in possibilities and you're changing. Just change the way you think. It's not what you do for a living. It ain't how much you make. It ain't none of that. It's simply how you think. If you change your thought, you change everything. You change your attitude. You change your altitude. It's all that. It's the law of attraction.
It takes a lot of courage to allow yourself to grow in the face of scrutiny. See, everybody grows. Men, women, faith, bishops, everybody grows. But generally you grow in privacy and your struggles are kept private and you develop and you grow out of it. Hopefully you get out of it before anybody, shoots you down. And it takes a lot of courage to say I'm not there yet. And when I have had the courage over the years to say, I don't know everything. I've been willing to change. I've been willing to evolve. I've been willing to explain myself to people that I didn't even have to respond to. Because in the process of doing that, people begin to understand that you are not who they think you are.
If you want the future to change for you, you've got to change. If you don't change, the next 6 years of your life is going to be just like the last 6. You'll still be behind on your bills. You'll still be behind on your promises. If you will get better, everything will get better for you. What a clear message that was for me. If you'll change your philosophy, you'll change your habits, if you'll change and accept some new disciplines, if you'll turn the corner where you've been in the past, go for a new life for the future, all kinds of remarkable things will happen for you if you will change.
And so most people think their life is dictated by external circumstances. They spend their entire life trying to control what is outside of them. And the fact of the matter is you cannot always control the external factors that are impacting you in your life. The good news is it's the external things in your life that do not dictate the direction or the ultimate destination of your life. That is a fallacy. Listen to me when I tell you this. External circumstances do not dictate the ultimate destination of your life. It's an internal game. You and your faith, your God, are what will control the direction of your life, not the external things that are impacting you all the time. And this identity is that internal thermostat. It sets the temperature, just like a thermostat sitting on the wall, of the conditions of your entire life.
I've been challenged by other people. I've had other people put the mountain in front of me and say, Maxwell, go climb that. And I can tell you right now, I've taken that challenge sometimes and climbed that mountain and felt that I accomplished something great. But let me tell you something about other people's challenges. I may go do that or try to do that, but that may not be where I need to put my time, effort, and energy. Instead of letting other people challenge you, challenge yourself. You know your strengths. You know your dreams. You know your heart. So why don't you sit down and reflect for a moment and ask yourself, what do I really want to accomplish that I haven't accomplished yet? I mean, get on your agenda. Get in your area, in your space, and say, I need to challenge me. When you challenge yourself, you're challenging yourself in an area that is close to your heart and it's who you are. In other words, the closest way to meet a challenge with a great sense of authenticity is to challenge you.
Before I met Mr. Shoaff, I used to cross my fingers and say, I sure hope things will change. I was hoping the government would change and the tax structure would change and that my boss would change and pay me more money. I was hoping that, economics would change and prices would come down. And I was hoping that circumstances would get better. And then I discovered from my teacher that those things are going to continue the same. In fact, all of those things that happen to us is kind of like the wind that blows. And the wind blows on us all. But if you just let the wind blow, I'm telling you, it won't take you where you want to go. All of us must use this wind to take us to the dreams we've got, to the equities we want, to the money we want, to the income we want, and to all the things we want our life to have. This is where we want to go, and we've got a good wind, but we must not leave our future just to the wind, just to the economy, just to the structure of the way things are happening today.
Too often in life, people don't work on changing their identity. They're always working on producing external results. Have you ever known somebody who was wealthy and no longer is? Have you ever known somebody who made a bunch of money and no longer does? How about somebody who was in a great relationship and that relationship no longer exists? How about someone who got in great shape that is no longer in that shape again? If your results begin to exceed your internal thermostat, you will find a way to cool your life back down to what you believe you're worth and you're comfortable at your identity. You'll think it's coincidental. Oh, this accident happened, or this appointment canceled, or it's not coincidence. All of those things have happened because you set the thermostat of your life and you've regulated what you're going to get. Isn't that incredible? That you can learn all the talents, the behaviors, the skills, the tactics, all the strategies